Hello guys, this and everything else. I'm going to ask you one question. Do you want a Barbarian tutorial? Essentially, a Barbarian guide? Well, no? Then why did you click on this video? And yes, I know that nobody asked me to actually do this, but, you know, I'm still doing it. I don't care if nobody asked. Nobody needs to ask me. I have the ultimate authority over my own stuff, over my own wars and videos. So yeah, barbarians. You know, the big guys. They usually are supposed to be tanks, but over here they are supposed to be like the guys that just go in, activate the rage, and destroy everything. Now, of course, you have strength-based class, strength-based martial class, so you don't use any magic, but you don't also have the complicated things that an alchemist has. And yeah, flourish, of course, you can only do one flourish action per turn, in key terms, of course. But most important is rage. Yeah, just allows you to rage. You can just do this thing during raging, and it ends if you stop raging. So yeah, you start with expert at perception. Well, since you are a marshal, you want to get into the battle as fast as possible. So perception on initiative is pretty good with that. Fortitude and will, of course, really good because fortitude and will are usually the saving throws against debuffs. So of course, as someone that wants to deal as much damage, it would be really good for you to just resist all of the sticking conditions and stuff like this that gives you -1. Sickened and enfeebled that give you like -1 to your strength-based attack rolls and stuff like this. And will that makes you frightened, that of course also gives you minuses to attack rolls. But you just have trained in reflex, which is pretty fair. Reflex is just usually straight up damage, but you know, enemies won't even be able to damage you if you kill them first. Of course, from the starting skill that pretty much every class gets, you get athletics and now 3+ your intelligence. You start with weapons up to martial, which is actually pretty good, and armor up to medium. Once again, kind of pains that it's not heavy armor, but you know, that's still pretty good. In my opinion, my recommendations for damage, I mean for stats, sorry, my neck kind of hurts, are 18 in strength, and then 14 in dexterity, constitution, and will, because you know dexterity, constitution, and will are the things that you want to have at least 14 in. And then just get 10 in intelligence and 0 in charisma, because you probably won't need charisma unless you're playing an intimidation barbarian. Then I recommend that you swap out dexterity with charisma. And then you actually take sentinel dedication, which just allows you to get heavy armor. And you know, if you have heavy armor, it just gives, all of heavy armors give you bonuses to give you bulwark, aka a bonus to dexterity saving throws if you have a low dexterity. Allows you to treat like this, and also sentinel dedication gives you mighty bulwark later, so you'll essentially be treated like you have +4, but that's only if you're going for an intimidation thing. Now, of course, you have normal stuff and you have rage. You deal 3 additional damage from melee strikes. Of course, melee, that's the most important thing. And just, it's halved if it's just unarmed or agile. It doesn't say finesse, so you know, you can still do this with a rapier, but why would you? It will be the best if you try to do this with a greatsword or something, or great axe, or any weapon that deals like the most damage. But you know, if you want to deal just a lot of that damage, a lot of that bonus damage, and make the most of it, I would also consider um, using two weapons, and a dual weapon warrior dedication, which will be actually pretty great, like unless you take Sentinel first, because then it will be like problematic kind of. Unless you have free archetype variant rule, then do whatever you want. And now, yeah, 2 additional physical damage. 2 additional damage, I mean. Which usually will be treated as the same as the weapons. But -1 to AC. -1 to dodge an attack and resist a crit. And you cannot use actions with concentrate traits. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, you get additional temporary hit points equal to your level plus con. It is actually great. Just temporary hit points are always great. So at the start it will be like probably something like 3 temporary hit points, but later it will grow. So yeah, you see, it's a fair trade-off. Now Instinct is of course your subclass, which we get into after we just do all the class features. Now, of course, Barbarian skill feats, we ignore these at the first. And now deny advantage, you know. If the creature, if your enemy is lower than your level, I mean, if either creature is equal or lower than your level, then you know, they just cannot flank you. But they can still help allies of higher levels flank, but they cannot flank themselves. That's pretty important thing. Once again, 3 just for normal things until level 5. Now, of course, you get expert now in your weapons at level 5, which will be pretty good, especially since this guy does just pops in and kills everyone fast. Juggernaut. Don't mix it up with the Juggernaut mutagen that gives you just for temporary HP. It doesn't give you temporary HP, but gives you Master in Fortitude saves that early. So yeah, no, you're not gonna get enfeebled or sickened anytime soon. Weapon specialization. Once again, you deal extra damage, still extra damage, depending on your stuff. Weapon specialization is with every class pretty much that has weapon. You just deal extra damage. That's pretty cool, I guess. Also, instinct abilities. You also get an instinct ability, but that later. Yet again, expert. Now you get actually, your reflex actually gets to catch up a bit, so you don't take too much damage. And you get resistance while raging equal to 3 plus your constitution modifier. But that resistance is determined on your instinct, which we will talk about later. Now, mighty range. Well, that doesn't actually change anything with rage too much, except you get mighty rage free action. And well, you just get proficiency to expert, which I don't know why this is in separate, but anyways, yeah. That action of course has a rage trait, because why wouldn't it? It's a barbarian special action. Well, you can use an action that has a rage trait as a free action. Which, yeah. That that's pretty cool, I guess. You can actually like I mean, sorry, I'm horrible at explaining things, but you can use action that has um, you can just use an action that has a rage trait. Hmm. So yeah, now Greater Juggernaut, of course, legendary in Fortitude at level 13. That's actually big. Now expert in armor, so finally you get some defense, but first you get like the resistance from most debuffs that lower your damage, and then you actually get some good defense. And weapon fury, of course, master rank with weapons, because when you get, because your defense should not be able to catch up to your offense actually. So yeah, that's why you get to master at the same level that you get armor. It just doesn't allow that to happen. But again, just more damage increase. That's more damage increase. I don't know how a barbarian would get 8, but still, it's probably just copy pasta. Now, master at will saves. Now, heightened senses. Of course, master at perception. Quick rage. Now you can just that doesn't really make your rage quicker. It doesn't really make you use the rage action quicker. It just actually makes you able to rage more frequently. Yeah, now armor fury. Yeah, I guess it. Master in armor. Actually, your armor caught up. But now, also at level 19, when your armor actually managed to catch up, you can actually ignore resistance to physical damage with your strikes. Now, everyone's favorite thing, aka my feet picks. Now, first at level 1, that all depends. If you like running, I don't actually know, but because you can pick actually pretty much everything over here, and it will be pretty okay, I think. Even though sudden charge seems actually pretty good, also, especially if you're going through difficult terrain or something on a dungeon, that usually you will just need to move once. Lightning thrower, I wouldn't really like this. I wouldn't really use this personally, but lightning intimidation is pretty much just 2-3 feats. And you can actually just demoralize and scare to death when you're ranging. That's pretty good, but Draconic Arrogance is also pretty good because yet again +2 against fear effects. That just like you, if you had like Master in Will. I mean that's just like I think mental effects. I think, yeah, emotion effects, which still counts as like fear. Now with all of like stuff like this, I think that Barbarian, still at level 4, I think, has fast movement, which will still upgrade it, especially if you didn't take sudden charge. It will be really great. Wounded Rage also may be pretty useful. It will just save you an action, especially if you like use this. And now with all of like the stuff like this, of course, if you have instinct, if you have some sort of instinct, for example, spirit instinct, always try to take abilities that have requirement of the spirit instinct. It will be pretty good. But of course, still, just Fireball flip will be a pretty good thing, you know. Though it technically, I think that they make it so that so you need to be you need to wear medium armor, but you need just be trained in medium armor, actually. And yeah, just roll and train in acrobatics, and that just allows you to like +2 to AC against like a melee attack, I think. Yeah, just against a melee attack, but probably it will be also allowed from ranged attacks, especially stuff like, especially remember stuff like Animal Rage and like the last dragon thing will be also pretty good. But my personal, but now personally, I think that attack of opportunity is one of the most important things that you can actually use. After attack of opportunity, of course, the unstoppable juggernaut will be really good. But pretty much everything will be pretty good at level 20, but Quaking Stomp or Unstoppable Juggernaut will be really good. Will be really good. Now, also Share Rage will be really good if you have like another martial in the party that is a melee attacker. Also, this will be pretty good, especially with druids. If you have a moon druid, like like the wild druid. And yeah, but that's pretty much just like my feat picks that you wanted. But also, if you want feat, then Sentinel Dedication feat will be great if you're trying to go for an intimidating barbarian, because you will be able to dump dexterity for charisma then. And Dual Weapon Warrior will also be pretty great. Because then you can just like max out on the rage bonus damage. Which actually, yeah, will be pretty good. Now, your instincts, aka the juicy part. We're at like not even 20 minutes, so yeah. Animal instinct. Yeah, that's most important thing, of course. In all instincts except fury instinct have an anathema. Okay, you cannot do this thing like disrespect an animal over here. So yeah, it gives you just another ability while you rage, pretty much. Over here, oh yeah, also using weapons while raging is an anathema. While raging, just while raging, remember that. And yeah, while you rage, you can actually pull out, you can pull out some weapons, like for example, you got hands if you have like an ape. Bird gives you both jaws and claws. And yeah, it just gives you a weapon. And then instinct ability, it just gives you access to that weapon while you're raging. Now specialization ability, which was the one at level 7, and just extra damage from rage. And yeah, Frog Tongue and Deer Antler, and they get like 15 feet of movement. And yeah, the like Deer Antlers. So yeah, Deer Antlers, in my opinion, are like the best ones that you can actually have for a barbarian. At least in my opinion. But you know, the change is not really all that big. The change isn't that big. But okay, now raging resistance, okay, the resistance that you get 3 plus your con, I think. Yeah, it just gives you resistance to piercing and slashing damage. So yeah, just all physical except bludgeoning. No dragon, of course. You pick a dragon and just, you know, You choose if this is just like hating or respecting dragons. If you respect, then just defying a dragon is an anathema, and failing dragons is your anathema if you just, you know, pick that you hate dragons. Now, Draconic Rage, of course, allows you to just increases the amount of damage you deal from rage. Pretty good. Now, also, additional damage from rage increases, because of course that's just pretty much always the specialization ability. And raging resistance is just like, you know, piercing damage because scales, and also you know, resistance to your dragon's breath weapon. And you know, you may say that well, I don't have breath weapon here, and well, you get this as a feat. You can actually pick it up as a feat. That's why I said that I'm not going to name all of them, but if you have a feat related to your instinct, then just look over it. It's probably worth taking, and unless it's just like predator pounce from like these barbarians. I mean, technically, it may be worth it if you're at least level 10. So I think actually that this may be worth it, but I personally don't like it too much. Now, Fury Instincts, which is the just normal. You don't have an anathema and you get first level feat instead of that. You, once again, way more weapon damage from rage, which is just generic, and yeah. Just physical weapon damage. You resist, aka from just weapons. Unless it's an unarmed attack. Which, yeah, would be pretty good. Unless you fight monsters. Unless you like fight monsters that just have it as like innate ability. And no. Yeah, Giant Instinct is like the most inspiration one. You literally just larger than life emotions and ego. That's really fun. Just failing to face a personal challenge of strength is your anathema. Like, not really just failing. It's failing to face a personal challenge of strength. So yeah, if you, for example, say yourself decide, yeah, I'm going to do this, but then you chicken out, then yeah, you lose your ability to rage because it's your anathema. But if you, for example, try to use this, but fail, then you don't lose your rage. You don't lose your like raging stuff. But just, you know, still. But if you just don't consider something a personal challenge of strength, then you still should not lose this. Now, yeah, you can just like use like large weapons. If you're like small and medium, you can just like use like large weapons, or even bigger if you're larger. And yeah, of course, additional rage damage. But you're still clumsy if you wear this weapon. But yeah, you get like a very great damage increase, of course. As you can see, like even Fury Instinct. And even that instinct has like 16. You have 18 here. That's very good. That's very good. I think that even Animal Instinct doesn't. Even Animal Instinct doesn't have that much. So yeah, just sheer damage. Raising resistance is to your choice of like cold electricity or fire, and yeah, and also bludgeoning damage. Which, yeah, just let me tell you one thing. If you're wondering, hey, that's a giant instinct. Why don't I turn into a giant? I don't want to use giant weapons. And once again, fits. And yeah, Spirit Instinct. Yeah, because you have feats that allow you to grow up to huge size later. Oh yeah, and now Anathema with Spirit Instinct. You cannot disrespect corpses. Yeah, defending yourself from someone is not disrespecting, it's just like common sense. Remember that. Spirit Ray. Yeah, you get the Ghost Touch rune during that, which you probably would have by that time. You get more damage, which is either negative or positive. That's why I'm not really a big fan of this instinct. Because it's either negative or positive. You will probably usually take negative. But you know, it really relies on undead attacking you. And yeah, and now extra damage from rage. And raging resistance is just all undead, which will be good against like any undead like campaigns, especially good in Abomination Vaults or like any homebrew campaign that someone may run that has a lot of undead. And Superstition Instinct, yeah, given the slightly relaxed rules and edicts, Anathema, Society at play, Instinct can benefit from special magic. So yeah, your Anathema, so yeah, of course, you're superstitious, so your Anathema is just like willingly accepting effects of spells unless they're like some sort of mandatory. For example, you're just fighting for your life or something. Then your cleric heals you. So technically, for example, if you don't consider like your cleric spells magic, but for example just some like blessings, and you think, yeah, blessings are totally not magic. Superman is Satan, or something like this. Then yeah. Then yeah, I think that it should be legal. But yeah, if an ally insists just on using magic, then travel still counts like this technically. But just remember, it should be like relaxed on rules, and you shouldn't really just do this because you of course want to offense against magic. Extra the rage damage, of course, and resistance is just like to associate magical tradition. But you know, I would still allow a barbarian to just be healed by these spells and stuff like this. By spells of an ally, by spells of allies. For example, just making a really stupid barbarian that doesn't understand that his allies use magic and just think that they're like so good at like magical. They're so good at, for example, medicine that like they're being healed by this. Or they just don't notice. They're so stupid that they don't notice. And now for Barbarian equipment, I recommend either taking, if you're taking a dual wielder, dual weapon warrior, then you probably should take like two long swords or something like this. Or two katanas maybe. But if you for example like try to use the intimidating barbarian, I mean nothing really stops you from using both, except for like that, you know, dedication feat limitations. Then yeah, just go for it. But you know, usually you should take, for example, some sort of full plate or pretty much any armor with bulwark trait if you're trying to go for like the intimidating barbarian. Because, yeah, again, for example, back to feats, you have terrifying hole, I think it's called. Terrifying hole. Yeah, one action and you just intimidate people around you. Yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, now that video is again like 30 minutes long, so yeah, just remember guys, walk your own path, you freaks of nature.